Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode. But first, thank you guys so much. Like I say every time, you guys listening, supporting us, supporting the Patreon, it's all a huge part of making this series such an awesome experience, both for myself, but for you guys. It's amazing. Thank you guys so much for giving us your support and your love, and get ready for another episode of Season 2 Survival Guides. Hey guys, we are back with another recap and another adventure from the ever angry Iron Wolf, Val, as we head into Season 2, The Shattered Visage. This is going to be another little journey taking us and exploring all of Val's journey as he's gotten here, and we're going to be getting ready, getting steady, and getting going, and giving you guys a little bit of your sort of survival guide as you are entering Season 2, A Shattered Visage, which is going to be basically as long as the first two seasons combined. Get ready for an epic adventure. Anyway, this time we're focusing on Val. When we left him at the end of Season 0, he had just single-handedly crushed the Machine King's forces in Min's. In the face of an unknowable, sadistic force only there to kill and inflict damage, there was no choice but to reawaken his inner, long-dead warrior, the Iron Wolf, who is a war hero immortalized thanks to incredible heroism against all odds during the Edaran conflict. And that's pretty impressive, and Val doesn't seem to celebrate that. In fact, rather than seeming like a war hero, nobody really seems to know who he is. He's just a stranger out in the woods of Min's, and that'll come into a little bit of play later. Because throughout Season 1, Val's return from exile, which we learn it was really a self-imposed exile from Edara, his return is anything but triumphant. He arrives in Rien, strung out, totally sleep-deprived, and he's chasing the Machine King, which is based on intel that he tortured out of the Machine King's men. But everywhere he goes, he is undercut. Every single step of the way. He's not treated like a war hero. He finds his image and his mantra plastered across the city, but totally misremembered. And eventually he collides with the modern iteration of the Light Corps, who used to be his comrades, but now claim that the Iron Wolf ascended into heaven, impersonating him as a crime, and Val is a criminal for trying to do so. And this results in him being thrown straight in prison. There, he's taunted relentlessly by his neighbor, a prisoner named Rat, and threatened by Meridia, who is one of the Light Corps guards that helped imprison him. And she threatens to turn him over to the Red Guard, which is a sadistic Inquisition force. And throughout the whole time, Val is wounded and given very little help. Things only get worse, though, for him when a bold strike on Val's prison by the Machine King's men sends Rien into chaos. This is when people bust through the wall, and it's like, all right, prison break, it's all going down. Now, seizing his opportunity and really saying fuck the consequences, Val chases the Machine King's intermediaries, men of his, through the levels of Rien to the waterfront, where despite Val's best efforts, these powerful Freelanders are able to make their escape. And that leaves Val in a very vulnerable position. He's heavily wounded, and he knows he can't return to the Edaran side of the city. So he seeks shelter on the outskirts of the old city. And eventually, after passing out, he receives involuntary help from a Freelander girl named Strena, who we'd seen a little bit before in the series. Just a few hours later, Val's confronted by BC, who threatens him with death if he remains in the city. But Val's not the type to go lightly and to just flee when being told to. He's recovering from his wounds thanks to the healing of the Freelanders. And instead of listening to BC, he sets off into the old city, chasing Rat, the man that he'd been imprisoned next to, and eventually catching him in the midst of executing a plan that was implemented based on the Machine King's orders. Now, Rat eventually slips away in the confusion, but when he next encounters the tall Edaran called Val, he doesn't really encounter Val. Instead, he encounters the Iron Wolf, who slaughters or cripples all of Rat's men before getting his answers from Rat, who claims that the only people who have a chance of even knowing where the Machine King would be the heads of the 4 families, who are the faction leaders and criminal kingpins that control Reen and much of the Edaran criminal underworld by proxy. Now, with his answers found, and with the old city sent onto high alert by the Machine King's strike, which we talked about a little bit before, Val sets off into the mountains to recover, regroup, and plan his next step. So, a lot of questions going in for this guy, especially going into Season 2. First, we're still wondering what happened to Val at the end of the war, and why has the legend of the Iron Wolf grown so large in his absence? Next, we think, with no allies, no home, and 2 different cities on the hunt for him, the odds are stacked against Val. How is this guy, who used to be a war hero, no matter how powerful and strong he is, going to get access and be able to work his way into a society that includes some of the most closely guarded, secretive, and protected individuals in all of Edara? And finally, big question for Val is, we know that he has a strong drive to protect Edaran innocence, and we know that he, at one point, became the symbol of the Edaran war effort. But we've also seen behavior and stories about the Edaran military that really don't seem to jive with what we know about Val. What does he believe, and what drives him? And where will that take him as the story unfolds? You'll have to listen to the next season to find out. See you in Shattered Visage.